subscribe and, like the video.
National environmental correspondent David Schechter investigates what can happen when an administration politicizes science.
What is important about a hurricane warning?
People's lives are on the line.
In September of 2019, during President Donald Trump's first term, Craig McLean was the acting chief scientist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. It runs the National Weather Service, which issues hurricane warnings.
Dorian has been pummeling the Bahamas for a day and a half.
On a Sunday, the Weather Service forecasted the storm to move up the Atlantic coast. President Trump tweeted that Alabama was in the storm's path, but it wasn't. 20 minutes later, the National Weather Service in Alabama accurately tweeted, Alabama will not see any impacts from Dorian. That contradicted the president. By Wednesday, with Dorian still approaching, Trump held up a 7-day-old map altered with a black marker, making it look like Alabama was in the hurricane's path. The controversy became known as Sharpiegate.
That was the original chart, and you see it was going to hit not only Florida, but Georgia. It could have was going toward the Gulf.
By Friday, without McLean's knowledge, the leadership at NOAA released a statement backing Trump and criticizing the work of the weather forecasters.
To have a political process unplug the public's trust, that got me stirred. That gave me a sense of rage.
McLean demanded investigations. They concluded that the statement was driven by external political pressure through a request from the White House then acting chief of staff, and that Neil Jacobs, the head of NOAA, who's been nominated again, violated NOAA's scientific integrity policy. McLean requested NOAA's top leaders acknowledge the investigative findings. Shortly after, he was relieved of his position. Jacobs has not responded to our request for a comment, and a spokesperson for NOAA says it does not comment on
This is the most annoying monarch. Like, this is stuff that you hear about in fictional works that try to recreate what it was like when we had kings. You know what I mean? It's so stupid. Hasan, I've heard you say I do not have an issue with Hezbollah. Do you still stand by this? In terms of their actions against resisting Israel, doing a yes, I don't. It's so funny because so many of the chatters that come in here and say stuff like that literally love Donald Trump. Donald Trump, if left to his own devices, would unironically do Islamic Caliphate shit. Not Hezbollah, but ISIS shit, right? But because he's, doing it Christian style, you consider that to be good and base. It's ridiculous. Like, what's going on? What's happening? Christian style? Calm your lamb chop? What, you think Christian Sharia is fake? Or is it because you agree with it so you don't actually think it's like bad? You advocate for it when your favorite politician is advocating for it. Yeah. Anyone who's spent enough time in here knows I'm not an advocate for any sort of religious fundamentalism, whether it be Islamic or Christian or Jewish. I support anyone that'll give me fiber internet. Okay, well, boy, do I got to tell you something about Hezbollah. They have fiber internet. There is a 98.8% chance that chatter understood 0% of your answer. Okay, probably fair. But it's not necessarily for that chatter alone. I'm sure there's other people who are confused by my approach to certain foreign policy decisions. These chatters want you to say, I don't support their harm to civilians if that's obvious in good faith. Yes, Noon Mail, I know. You don't have to spam it over and over again in the chat. I know.
nominations.
The blanket that was given to me by my team.
McLean stayed on with NOAA in another position and eventually retired. But big picture, NOAA's science is about more than hurricane warnings. It underpins how corporations and insurance companies predict the ever-growing risks of climate disasters and helps farmers choose the best time to plant as weather patterns shift. But Project 2025, which has served as a roadmap for the new administration, calls on Trump to break up NOAA, accusing it of being one of the main drivers of the climate change alarm industry. We reached out to the Trump White House, but it did not respond to our questions. And during the nomination hearings for Howard Lutnick, Trump's pick to lead the Commerce Department, which oversees NOAA, he said he does not support breaking it up.
Project 2025 is saying NOAA's alarmist.
Well, we're required by law to give the full picture. And if there's a reason to not be alarmist, what is that? What we're seeing is alarming.
He's like, bro, my job is to raise the alarm. That's what I need to do. It is literally my job to raise the alarm when there is climate catastrophe happening. What do you mean? Trump's and Republicans' anti-science approach is so psychotic, and it's going to cook this country, literally. I do not understand how you can approach this like they did with COVID, where they're like, yeah, if you don't test people, then you just get less cases of COVID. You can't do that with COVID anyway, but you definitely can't do that with tornadoes. What are we doing? COVID, at the very least, is somewhat invisible. Its impact is real, but it's like, germs, people don't understand diseases. A tornado is very much visible when it fucks your house. At a certain point, someone's gonna be like, why didn't the National Weather Service warn me that there was a goddamn tornado? You can't do the COVID thing to tornadoes.
Is very alarming.
McLean says we should all be alarmed by any threats to the integrity of the science that supports what we know about our changing climate.
Going through that again is very concerning to me.
For CBS Saturday Morning, David Schechter, Washington.
Ushered to a stage by cameras cocked and pointed, the exchange of detainees between Israel and Hamas is as much a performance as it is a process.
I think one of the craziest things Israel did, and they do this all the time for every other thing, projection, was to talk about the horrific conditions that Israeli captives were held in after a month of endless videos coming out of the West Bank of Palestinians who were brutalized under Israeli detention. Israel turned around and did the reverse of that, where they were like, look at how badly treated our hostages were. And the media that didn't cover a single instance, the media that did not cover a single instance. Oh my God, that's AI art. I just realized that fist has 6 fingers. Oh my God. Okay, that's a bridge too far. Hamas, that's a bridge too far, sir. AI art? You couldn't commission that? I'm condemning Hamas for the usage of AI art. Anyway, the point I was making before I was with this AI art